These two?
What?
These two?
Mom, is this on?
So we got our lab results back for these girls, and unfortunately found out some bad news. So we were getting ready to bring a buck onto farm and breed these ladies back for next year so we could produce some milk. And their lab results came back. They were negative for brucellus, negative for CL, negative for Johne's, negative for Q fever, but they were positive for CAE. So CAE is similar to HIV in people. It does not spread to people. It's not zoonotic, so you can't get it from drinking the milk or anything like that. But it does cause arthritis. It can cause brain swelling for newborn kids born to one of these girls if they were to be bred. It also causes decreased immune response, so decreased immune system. And eventually wasting away and death. So with this information, we have decided that because of this, we're not going to breed. I mean, there is a way you could breed and still have healthy kids, but you have to have a lot of time and effort put into this. You have to be able to, wow, were they eating the berries? The chickens are getting up in the trees and eating the berries right off of them. This is great. They must be tasty.
Ew, somebody pooped on the roof.
So the chickens are jumping up in this tree and eating the fruit. I wasn't even sure if it was good for them or not, so we weren't giving it to them, but apparently they love it since they were climbing for it. So yeah, if you have the time and effort, the skill, you could breed these girls back and you would and not have the babies catch CAE. But you have to induce labor, so you have to be there when they're born, so practically induce labor. Separate them from mom. Don't break the sack right away. Separate them from mom, and then you have to bottle feed them. I believe on pasteurized milk. I believe. Don't quote me on that. You have to look it up if that's something you want to do. But you cannot let them nurse. You cannot even let mom lick them clean. They cannot be in contact with mom if you were going to try to keep the kids CAE free. For us, small homestead, it's not what we're going to do. I mean, initially, goats weren't even on our radar. When we wanted milk, we wanted a cow. We wanted a home-based dairy cow. And we were talked into starting with goats because it would be easier. Theoretically, it's easier to get under a goat. They're a smaller animal. They're easier to manipulate. So we were talked into it, and this is where we are. we were going to continue with this until we had the money to put up the infrastructure and get a dairy cow. However, because of the condition, we're not going to start over with goats. We're not going to go and invest money into a new set of girls or a herd or anything like that. We're just going to start accumulating money that we're not spending on feeding these girls and bedding them and keeping them healthy, you know, deworming them, all that. We're going to take that money and put it into a bank account and start slowly building up the infrastructure around here, putting up cow fences, three-strand electric cow fences, and getting prepared for a dairy cow. Because we want to do the same thing, ideally, with the cow that we're doing with the goats, obviously to be larger, but we want to move them around pasture. Now, what that means behind me is a different story, though. See, the goats did have a twofold purpose. They were giving us milk. They were going to give us kids that we could sell and make money from, profit from. But they also were clearing the land for us. Behind me is a lot of grass and weeds and trees that we were going to still continue to use the goats for. If you look, let me spin 180 here, where we've been. This was overgrown weeds and grass and trees when we moved in, and it's beautiful pasture now. Look at all this. I can see a few acres back behind me all the way back to the house. I mean, they've done a lot of work here. So what that means for us is it's going to mean a lot more work for me, because instead of putting the goats out here and letting them clear it first, I'm going to have to get out here with a mower, with an axe, and just start working my way through all of this, because I do want these acres flipped so that we have all this as available pasture for our home-based dairy cow. So is it devastating? It depends on who you ask. I mean, and kind of the question, like, again, this wasn't initially our dream, but I do feel sad that in an instant the plans that we had were changed. My wife is a little bit less sad, I think, because she wanted the cow more than anything. And sometimes these goats drive her crazy. They are stubborn. They refuse to walk. Some of them need carried up into the stanchion. Some of them kick the entire time they're in the stanchion. So they are a lot of work. They're hard to deal with, stubborn animals. But I will miss them. But it's just, this is where we are. So what does that mean for them? Well, I don't know yet. I mean, we're going to try to sell them to a CAE friendly farm. That would be the ideal. But we don't want to keep them. So we're going to try to find somebody who wants them either as a pet or wants to deal with the extra labor that comes from breeding these ladies and trying to keep the kids CAE free. If they've already got CAE herd, then they should be okay. We're selling them at a very, very steep discount. Half the price of what we paid for one of these goats, we're selling both of them for together. So they do have like separation anxiety from each other. So we are selling them as a pair. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to call. We're trying to avoid that. We're trying to find somebody who will buy these girls knowing what their condition is. We're being very upfront. We're telling people, look, this is what we have. If that's something you're willing to deal with, you're already dealing with, you want a pet, just a pet, not a breeding goat, then we have some available. So we will see where that goes, and we'll keep you guys updated on that.
What's fun?
Anyway, let's just watch them jump up there.
A black one wants to join.
Say hi to YouTube, Chloe. So we took the old brooder, which isn't being used right now, since it's this time of year. I mean, we could be buying chicks or not. And we cut some of the wire mesh off, put a door on it, and took their old coop and put it out here. We're offering it to the stray cat. Haven't seen him use it yet, but we're giving that as an option for him to sleep in. We don't like how this does have a floor, rather, and so it accumulates poop and everything else. The brooder has no floor, so we can just keep moving it around and spreading out their mess without having to clean up after them. I didn't know there was that much in it.
if it is, his hair got all messed up.
So I got the fall crop in. We planted cucumber, lettuce, and kale. Was it kale? Kale. So we've got that in for the fall. Just planted that, I don't know, a week or so ago. Right into the compost that our compost chickens made for us. They just stand on that heap, scratch it up, mix it in, break it down, and we're using it for gardening. So this is one of our other tests. Again, we tried tillage and not very much maintenance. As you can see, this field behind me still has some of our garden remnants in it. But this was our tilled garden. And now we have the plant directly in compost, and then way back there, right there is our plant right as soon as we move the chicken's coop, our corn straight into the ground, right into the chicken. So that's actually already got tassels on it. That corn is doing great. I'm hoping for full size ears. I think from what Robbie said, the corn stalks are only supposed to be 3 to 4 feet tall, which looks like what they've hit. So I'm hoping for full size ears this year of red popcorn. Can't wait to try it. Hey babe, you're washing them anyway.
Yeah, Mom.
You got another one coming right there. Where are you going? Huh? Where are you going?